So today I actually wanted to talk about when it is too soon or too early to complain about a fighting game. So obviously we all know fighting games come out. Oftentimes when they come out there are characters that are broken, systems that don't work properly. That's kind of it's come to be expected with fighting games, and a lot of the time, or at least back in the day, they would release them on arcades, and it was usually the Japanese public. They would get some time to play with them, identify where the problems were, and then they would later release them on a console, and that happened for Street Fighter and Tekken quite a lot. I'm sure it happened for other games, but those are the two examples I was going to use. Now, this video is going to be focused a lot around Mortal Kombat because this is a conversation I had with one of my friends, and he said a year in it's still too early to complain about the game. It needs to breathe a bit. So when is it too early to complain about a fighting game? It's kind of hard to say. It's one of those things that it's going to be different per game. If you pick up a game and none of the buttons work properly, other than the kick button, the game's glitchy, and you're right to complain straight away, obviously. If you pick up a game and there's a few characters that are busted, yeah, you have a right to complain. Be like, hey, what have you done? Like, this character is insane. He's one touch killing me or whatever. Kind of like when Akuma was first shown on Tekken 7. I remember, was it back in 2015 or 2016? He was just insane, which is funny to say because people still complain about him today. He is really strong, but I'm pretty sure, if I'm not remembering it incorrectly, he was absolutely ridiculous when he first came out. Like, there was one that just touch of death straight away. So complaining about overpowered characters is also fine. There could also be a mechanic in the game that isn't functioning properly. And again, you're okay to complain about that. Now, the reason that I want to use Mortal Kombat as an example is because I was having this conversation with my friend, and the game's been out for a year now, and we've seen some balance changes here and there. I've been complaining about Mortal Kombat for about 9 to 10 months, so about 2 months into the game I started to realize that this game was fundamentally flawed. And a lot of the problems are problems that I've carried over from other Mortal Kombat games, so I kind of expected them, but there was other issues that I found with this game. And like I said before, I still think MK11 made leaps and bounds in terms of balancing characters and just balancing the way the game plays out compared to MKX and MK9. I know everyone sings MK9's praises, but let's be honest, that game is broken beyond belief. Like, it's broken beyond repair, in my opinion. So MK11 did make steps in the right direction. Things sort of slowed down. I think that the creativity aspect got hurt. Now, again, this is another thing where I was talking to my friend and I was saying you can still have long creative combos, just don't have ridiculous built-in mix-ups and extremely high damage where you die off one touch. It's quite simple, it's okay to make the juggles more prominent. And it's okay to let people be more creative. Just don't have built-in mix-ups all the time. This is quite simple, I think, really. But I've been complaining about MK11 for about 9 to 10 months, and the reason that I have complained about MK11 is not so much the characters. I think that all the characters in the game are relatively balanced, and what I mean by that is that I don't think the game is balanced. I think that every character in the game is somewhat viable, even down to Shao Kahn. If you've seen video games, he's taken his Shao Kahn, he's beaten very good players with them. I see his games online. He clearly understands the character, he understands what needs to be done. So in terms of viability, yes, MK11 is pretty balanced. It's not balanced in the way they have designed the characters, and that's partly down to just how stupid some of the decisions are. The game isn't balanced, it's just that more characters are viable than ever before in a Mortal Kombat game. But that's not really true balance. That is, what they've done is they've sort of spread the bullshit across the roster. Some characters have way more bullshit than others, but the main ingredient of the game is bullshit. And that's why I don't think it's too balanced. The reason that I started complaining about Mortal Kombat very early is because it's a very basic game. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see that this game is not going to develop much past what it already has. The way the game is played now is the way the game's going to be played when no one's playing, like until its last breath, unless there are balance changes that come in. And I just want to, that's a key thing. If they balance it and they change systems, that's different, then obviously the game is going to play differently. But if it remains the same as it is now, the game is not going to change. It's not like I've seen games like Tekken, Street Fighter, King of Fighters, hell, even I hate to say it, but Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. I have to bring in a game like that where they have developed over the years and there's been new strategies employed. I don't see that happening with Mortal Kombat 11. It's a very, very basic one-dimensional game. Everyone sort of plays the same-ish. Everyone employs the same strategy. You know, there's not much room for creativity in Mortal Kombat, largely down to the fact that they put all their custom stuff behind the wall, and their excuse was, oh, the game will be broken if we release all this stuff. And my response to that is, balance it. You know, what's the point? I understand that you say, oh, it's for casual play, but at the end of the day, fine, you don't want it in tournaments, but you don't even have a ranked mode for people that want to use custom. So for people that are competitive and they like to be on a leaderboard and they like to see their progression, you kind of just killed the game for them. So yes, the problems in Mortal Kombat that I found very early in the game are still there. They haven't changed, and I was right. And I was right about all the characters I complained about. I was right about their issues. The problems that people bring up now, I was saying it back then. I have receipts, I have WhatsApp messages, I have conversations with people I've had over text about this game from almost a year ago. And it's the problems people talk about now and the balance changes people want now. The bottom line is, it's never too early to complain about a fighting game. You just have to use your common sense. Now, if you see a game like, I'm gonna use Tekken 7 again. Tekken 7 had a very, very solid foundation, and that's largely because Tekken is a legacy game and they've built on what they have. So unlike MK, where you give it the benefit of the doubt, you know, whenever they bring out a new MK game or a new Injustice, well, actually Injustice was a bit legacy as well, but whenever they bring out a new MK game, it's largely different from its previous iterations. There's not really too much crossover outside of a few things here and there. But with Tekken, there's a lot of crossover. Tekken just sort of develops on what it has, which is fine. But you could see Tekken 7 added new mechanics, and there was a solid foundation there. There was something to work with. You could be very creative with it. And to this day, you still see people like STK, and people that do combo videos and whatnot. They're on YouTube uploading new stuff. Sometimes that's due to the changes that are made, like per season, but if you see how many combo videos are uploaded per season, there's so much stuff to be discovered, and there's so much tech, and there's so many ways to play it. So that's an indication of a good fighting game. If you can turn off people's names when you're watching them play and still recognize, wow, that's Daigo's Ryu, that's I don't know, that's Super Akuma's Akuma, or whoever. That's an indication of a good fighting game. You know, it gives you the room to be creative, to express yourself. MK11 doesn't have that, and that's why I started complaining very early with it. And I believe without significant overhauls to the system, this game will continue to be, lack of a better word, very, very, very disappointing. So I really just wanted to talk about when is it too early to complain about a fighting game. It's never too early. And I say fighting game because I don't really have much knowledge on shooting games and other competitive games. It's never too early to complain. Yes, some people have ridiculous complaints. I don't feel like my complaints are ridiculous. I feel like you should have a system where we can tell which way we're going to be thrown. We should have a system where fireballs don't pass through each other. We shouldn't have such a mashy game. We shouldn't have so much reward instead of risk. I feel like those are all warranted things, and those are things that don't take away from Mortal Kombat. So if anyone ever tells you that you are wrong to complain about a game and the game needs to breathe, look at the game, assess like what you're complaining about, and then, you know, speak, because some people don't really think about what they're talking about. I've thought this over for a long period of time. As you can see on my YouTube channel, I have hundreds of videos, over 150 videos of Mortal Kombat. I've played it with the very best players in the UK and around Europe. I have a lot of knowledge on this game. I'm not the best at it. I can get by. If I'm on form, I can get by. But what I do know is that the problems that I identified with this game early on are still the same problems, and they're the same problems because NRS fundamentally believe that is the right way to make the game. And someone made an interesting comment on one of my YouTube videos or one of my Facebook posts, I can't remember who it was, and they said, well, Mortal Kombat sells like hotcakes, so why would they change it? And that person, whoever said that, is completely right. Mortal Kombat is one of the best selling fighting games, one of the best selling games out there, and it's been like that for years. When they revived Mortal Kombat with MK9, you know, it sold like hotcakes. So they are obviously doing something right. They're appealing to the casual audience 100%. And there's a lot of aspects about Mortal Kombat that are really cool. I mean, it looks fantastic. It just doesn't play fantastic. I speak from the standpoint of a competitive player, of someone that spends a lot of time on Combat League, that spends a lot of time playing other competitive players. Or at least I did. I played what I believe to be my last match on Mortal Kombat a few days ago. I still have tons of footage of it, so I'll still be uploading. But for the time being, I've put it down. I've stayed with Tekken. As most of you know, I play Tekken as well as Mortal Kombat. I just don't upload as much, but I'm now learning Noctis along Negan, so that will be on my channel soon. But yeah, I've played my last match for now. So I speak from a competitive standpoint with Mortal Kombat. I feel like MK11 failed the competitive community. I hope they can turn it around. I do not want NRS to fail, obviously. We don't want Mortal Kombat to go away. I just want it to be better. So in closing, when is it too early to complain about a fighting game? It's never too early. Your complaints might be bullshit, people might not agree with them, but you have a right to express your opinion. And I feel like the complaints that I have with Mortal Kombat, they're not anything to do with bugs, it's just systems. It's the systems that I don't like. And as a player and as a consumer, as someone that spends my money on NRS products, I have a right to say what I want. And I have a right to say if I don't like something. I don't think we should just bow down and kiss the feet of these people simply because they're giving us a game. It's nice that they make a game, it's nice that they put effort into other aspects of it, but if you're a competitive player, MK11 is deeply frustrating to play. So my frustrations with this game don't come down to the characters per se, it's just the philosophy behind this game. It's rooted in stupidity, I think. But I'd like to hear your thoughts and feelings on that. Is it too early to complain about a game if it's only been out a year? Is it too soon? Or do you think I'm valid in complaining? Leave a comment in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll be back with more soon, guys. Peace.